at Hillside, Endarasha, that saw the death of over 17 children. And it's a sad thing that now we are starting again to see the children or fires in schools, which is very disturbing for so many people. In fact, what I know is that there's a school in Meru overnight where there was a fire in the dormitories. I'm very sure there was no, as of now, I not heard of any injuries, so probably this might have been caused by the students. There was also a fire in Isiolo, so something needs to be done. I don't know what's happening in the schools. Anyway, there was an interdenominational prayer service held in Endarasha, Hillside Endarasha Academy in honor of the victims of the fire tragedy. Nyeri Archdiocese Archbishop Anthony Muheria called on Kenyans to pray for the parents and the entire Endarasha Academy who were hit by the deadly fire tragedy. Archbishop Muheria also called for cooperation with authorities to consolidate the numbers even as they mourn the loss of the young ones. He further called on the community to stop pointing fingers against one another. Other leaders have also called on the investigating units to give a detailed report.
Many parents pick their children from Hillside but have not yet informed them, and so there are some unaccounted children, and it's only fair that for the sake of peace of mind, if you picked your child, just call the institution so that you may say your child is at home and he's safe. And also kindly take them for a bit of a checkup and assistance because the trauma is quite huge. Secondly, we'd like to take this opportunity to ask all of us Kenyans, when these things happen, it is very easy to start pointing fingers. Let us rather take this moment to think and put ourselves in the shoes, much as we cannot fully comprehend their pain, but the shoes of those who are suffering.
Mambo kama hayo ichunguzwe na Wakenya wapate ripoti kamili. Kwa nini hayo ilifanyika?
Iangalie kabisa chanzo cha hiyo moto. Unajua watoto kuwa kwa dormitory na moto inatokea nje, hawana la kufanya.
You know, the children that lost their lives were really young, very, very young kids. As I said about Isiolo, at least 3 students were injured after a fire broke out at Isiolo Girls High School in Isiolo town on Saturday. It comes after the deaths of at least 21 children in a fire at Hillside Endarasha School Nyeri on Thursday. A Kenyan police spokesman said the blaze destroyed dormitories at Isiolo Girls High School before being contained. The cause of the blaze is unknown, but there have been numerous fires in boarding schools in Kenya in recent years, prompting national concern about the safety standards. The Kenya Red Cross said 3 children had suffered minor injuries and had received psychological and first aid.
That's very wrong. Yes. Lakini tunazuliwa nje sasa ni makosa hiyo.
Kwani ni nini kwa ndani wazazi ile
jana walikuwa wapi walimu sasa wanazuia watu?
Wakae hata kwa nyasi hapo.
Walikuwa wapi jana?
Mbaya kwa mlango huko. Hii pesa si poa kwa shule. Kwa sababu hii shule ni ya mzazi na mtoto na mwalimu.
Hata mwalimu mmoja apatikane.
Nini kwa ndani?
Hapa. Kanisa ilikuwa inaongelesha pesa hiyo hata watoto. No. Mtoto kwa hiyo
basi ya watoto, mseme watoto wale wamelala shule ni hawa na wale wamelala nje ni hawa. Jina langu kwa wale wanifahamu ni Lusemoria kutoka hapa, na nimekuja hapa kwa shule ya Isiolo Girls ambayo mnaona vile tuko hapa kwa gate. Shule ilipatwa na mkasa last night na imekuwa mambo mbaya. Shule imekuwa gutted down 1 dormitory ya form 1 ambayo ina contain watoto kama 135, As for now, ile kitu inasemekana hakuna wale wameumia, but we are still to wait for the official confirmation from the school and police. But nimevisit the scene, kukombaya yote, everything is gutted down. The whole dormitory is down, everything what was inside is down. And unfortunately, wazazi wamekuwa hapa. I've been here myself since 6 in the morning. Nilisikia jana usiku from Nairobi and I came. Na nimekuta wazazi wanaja hapa na students panicking. Wengi they are not sure where their girls are. And wamefungiwa nje. It's very unfortunate. Hakuna mtu anawaandress, but I hope that something will happen. But so far, it's about 10 now. Still wazazi wako nje ya gate. They are panicking. They are worried. They want to know where their girls are. Nimeingia kule ndani, nimekuta others in groups. So I don't know. So wazazi wengine wametoka hata as far as Nairobi, Nyahururu wameingia hapa. Those who are not sure, wale hawakuweza kuchukua wazazi wao watoto wao last night. Kwa hivyo tunaomba hiyo investigation, hiyo mipangilio, mwalimu wako naye ndani, polisi wale OCS wapange haraka, kwa sababu hawa sasa wanataka kukonfirmiwa nini inaendelea. Mtu huwezi kusema mtoto alitoroka usiku na yuko sure where they are. So we need to hear a statement from the school.
It's a very disturbing thing. I'm a parent, and I remember one time we basically going through the school when my daughter was still in secondary school. I remember I was going through the school WhatsApp. And then I saw a message from a parent saying that, is this true that our girls' school was on fire? And then, before long, there were questions being asked. By that time, I just didn't wait to hear whether it was true or not. I just remember taking the car keys, getting into the car and driving to the school. And true, there was a fire, but I thank God that, very few people were injured. So you can imagine what goes into the heart of a parent when you get that call that, your child's school is on fire. So we'll be basically later on also touching on the question, do we really need these boarding schools? Because it's around this time, mostly in second term, we have these fires. Anyway, that's a conversation we're going to have later on in the show. But right now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has urged political leaders to listen to Kenyans on the ground and respond to their needs and demands. The self-proclaimed truthful man has castigated leaders who have questioned his remarks and decision to stand by the people.
Viongozi sikizeni ground, wanasema ati mimi nawatisha. Na mimi nikuambia tu ukweli kwa sababu mimi ni mzee na ni kiongozi. Nakuambia hawa, msiposikiza ground, mtakosana na wenye kuandika nyinyi kazi na watamfukuza. Hiyo ni kuambia ukweli ama ni kuwatisha? Bishop mwenyewe amesema hapa, good leadership is listening to the people. Listen to them, because hao ndio unaongoza, na ni muhimu ujue vile wanataka kuongozwa na uwasikize vile wanaona. Na watu si wadawazimu, watu ni watu. And therefore I want to encourage leaders in the country, please listen to the people. Bishop umesema mzuri, mimi nasemanga ukweli, and many people have a problem with me. Because for a long time, watu wengi wa serikali wamezoea kudanganya wananchi. Sasa watu wengi tuko nao kwa serikali hawajazoea hii maneno ya ukweli. Wanazoea maneno ya uongo. Sasa mimi nikiongea ukweli wanasema mimi naongea mbaya. Mimi Mungu anisaidie niendelee kuongea ukweli. Kwa sababu ukweli ndio wa kudumu. Tena watu wa Kenya wamerefuka sana.
Well, there's a lot of rumbling happening in Mount Kenya as different leaders try to become the Mount Kenya spokesman. And this is going to go on until we get to 2027. Anyway, let's take a look at what some of the things that are happening around the world, including, Raila's bid for the African Union chairmanship, where his candidate, he promised to unite African countries and bring out the best of resources to enable the continent to do better economically and socially. Raila Odinga, who recently was on tour with President William Ruto in China for the China-Africa Summit, says Africa has a potential that needs to be tapped. Leaders have declared their support for his candidacy, saying he is the man best fit for the job.
I've got good reasons why I want to go to Africa, and I've actually put them down very well in a brochure, which will be made available to you people. But I believe that Africa is punching below its weight, and that Africa can do better. I have seen, African leaders moving around. You see, like I've just come from FOCAC, China, Africa, where over 40 African heads of state were. But I was saying, why should African leaders go to China? Chinese are the ones who should be coming to Africa. So these are some of the things that we want to reverse. It should not be reversed Africa, America, not America, Africa. Not India, Africa. Africa, India. Africa, Turkey, and so on and so forth. Africa can punch at its level. And this is what I want to see. And there's so many things that I've already said about Africa, what Africa can do, how Africa has been undermined, how Africa has been exploited, but we don't want to continue to be whining.
I do hope that that Raila Odinga gets that seat. I mean, he has really fought for, the change in the way that we do politics in the country. Some may not agree with him, some may agree with him, but at least he's played a major role in the kind of politics we are playing and the kind of freedoms that we're enjoying also in the country. So give credit where it's due, and probably it's a high time that he got a position, and this position, I guess, is right for him. I know there's a lot of politics being played right now. Anyway, the school that I was telling you about in Meru, I'm made to understand that Njia Boys High School, dormitory in Meru County, has also suffered the same thing, was set on fire or burst into flames. We don't know the cause of the fire. Indeed, something needs to be done. Elsewhere, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has said it's important to nurture national, regional, and international peace and ultimately human security. Speaking when he attended the Haiti Concert and Cultural Festival at Uhuru Gardens, he said that the anarchy breeds anarchy, lack of peace, lack of food, it brings lack of medical care, lack of education, and that anarchy was dehumanizing people. He noted that it's important that the world works together and appeals to other countries to come forward and join Kenya in contributing their troops or provide logistical support so that the women and young people of Haiti can know peace and prosperity.
Kenya and Haiti enjoy cordial relations cemented by the signing of an agreement to establish diplomatic relations between Kenya and Haiti on 21st September 2023. Haiti has a long history of political instability since its independence on 1st January 1804. Currently, the Haiti situation is complex, and the suffering of the Haitian people has attracted collective consciousness. The multinational security support mission in Haiti has garnered worldwide support, which is a testament of the continued shift towards the world as a global village and the importance given to worldwide peace and security. A few days ago, the Secretary of State of the United States, while visiting Haiti, did acknowledge the indispensable role that Kenya is playing in trying to restore stability and peace in Haiti.
All right, that's pretty interesting. We're celebrating whatever is happening in Haiti, calling on leaders and other countries to make available forces and resources so that the Kenyan forces, the Kenyan-led police or security forces in Haiti can be able to achieve their objective. There's nothing as horrible as lack of peace in a country. At least we've had a taste of that. You remember 2007 when we didn't have peace in the country and you couldn't even buy credit to call people. You couldn't even get Skuma Wiki, and when you got them, they were too expensive. And that was for only a short period. You can imagine what is happening to a country like Haiti, where you have people for a long period of time not having peace. And that's the reason why political leaders have been urged to adopt a servanthood leadership style so as to bridge the gap between the common mwananchi and the people.
The feet of the disciples, an act of humility and love that he received from Jesus himself. Peter's example reminds us that true leadership involves serving others. True leadership involves serving others. Sikia, kama umeitwa kwa nafasi ya kuongoza, you are not a boss. Wewe ni mtumishi, wewe ni mtumwa, watumikie na wengine. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Na utawatumikiaje wengine kama huna hata nafasi ya kufanya nini? Kuwasikiza. There is a very big gap between the leaders and the subjects. In that, hawa wakilia, kiongozi hawezi kusikia, maana kuna gap kubwa mno. But how I wish our leaders today can adapt a servanthood leadership style, that they can lead as servants and not bosses, including us men of the clothes. The church today is failing miserably. The church is losing value because we have bosses leading the church than servants leading the church.
Well, indeed, we need to change the way we do our politics. At the same time, we also need to probably change the way we do our religion. Now, I'm going to play you a clip. I hope you watched this yesterday during the Christian World, Christian News Today, because this was pretty interesting. And I'll play you an advert of some of the things that are happening within the Christian circles and what is being advertised. And you be the judge whether this is biblical or these are some of the things that we need to avoid. Watch this.
Tangazo, tangazo, tangazo. Hii Friday ya tarehe 30 mwezi wa August tutakuwa na ibada special kabisa hapa Embassy Cinema. Inaanzia saa 5. Kuna misumari ya inchi 3 ambayo tumetumbukiza kwa mafuta, ikae kwa mafuta, ili hii siku ya Friday watu watolewe misumari, kila mtu misumari 7. Nenda nayo. Unaweza ukaenda uongelee kwa mtu na ikae hapo na utangaze mambo fulani ya kwamba hapa mahali waganga na wachawi hawatawahi onekana tena. Unaweza enda nayo na uigongee kwa mlango na nyundo vizuri na utangaze kama vile nimedunga msumari ukaingia ndani ya mlango. Hivyo ndivyo prosperity imeingia ndani ya hii familia, na hatutawahi kuwa kusononeka na kufilisika tena. Unaweza ukaenda uiweke kwenye toolbox yako na ikaange kwenye toolbox ya kwamba neema na rehema za Bwana zikuandame kuanzia sasa na hata milele. Unaweza ukaenda na udungilie mahali kwa class, kwa ukuta, kwa mbao, kwa mabati, na utangaze kuanzia leo, msumari ambao umetoka kwa mafuta na nimeidungilia hapa, lazima success itakuwa ni ya lazima. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Nataka tukatae roho za mauti, tukatae kutengenezewa majeneza tukitumia hii misumari. My brother and my sister, hii Friday Embassy Cinema, mambo ya ajabu yanatendeka. Come on, come on, in Jesus' name.
All right. There's a question there. Is it biblical? Yes? No? If yes, show us from the scriptures. Just put it there where the Bible allows this to happen. If no, give us your thought. Let's go for a short break. Oh no, I got the newspapers with me. Hey, don't go for a break. We need to check the newspapers. David, enjoy. You can play that thing. Tereng, tereng. Thank you, David. Just in case you're wondering, who in the world is David? David is our director this morning, and he's the one who's making everything come together the way it's coming. Thank you very much, David. Now, I think we're going to start with this. We're going to start with the standard. Just in case you're wondering what is happening, it's a police. The headline screams out political search. So not political search, but painful search. And it has the pictures of very young kids, some of whom are still being looked for due to the Endarasha Academy fire. And it basically says, these are questions that parents are asking. Where are our children? Parents of Endarasha Academy ask the authorities to look for their missing learners. Today it will be the day 3 as the caregivers hang on to every hope that the little ones are safe. And when you look at the faces of these children, you can't help but mourn for their parents and mourn for them, and knowing the anguish that the parents must be going through, not knowing what could have happened to their children, and at the back of your mind having fears that the worst has happened. It is a horrible situation to be at. Horrible. And you know what? Because we are a Christian station and we've been called to bring grace. The scriptures in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 from verse 45 going onwards, it says we are the spirit, we are spirits that bring life. We've been given life to bring life to people. And so we want to pray the Father, he may minister to these parents, he may minister to them, give them peace, give them comfort. Holy Spirit, you're the only one who can comfort people, who can minister peace to people. You're the only one who can do this. And I pray that you do this to these parents. Whatever they're going through is horrible, but give them grace. Give them grace, like you told Paul, my grace is sufficient for you. Let your grace be sufficient for them in this difficult and horrible time. Thank you, Lord Jesus. So, the parents going through a very difficult time. This is, it's a horrible situation. The second page is county workers in pain as salary delays persist. up to 3 months. This is crazy. I can imagine if you're working for the counties. I have somebody who works for the county and I know what they're going through. They've not been paid for the last 3 months. Your landlord still expects you to pay your salary, you pay your rent every month and at the right time. Your kids are going back to school. You don't have money to go back to pay school fees. All these things. The government needs to do something. It needs to disburse the funds to the counties. Because at the same time, when these monies are held back, the economies of the counties are also, held back in the sense that now people don't have money to spend. So where I was buying, probably the person was buying Skuma Wiki, they're not buying. And so the Skuma Wiki person doesn't have money. The high economy has gone down. The person from where she bought the Skuma Wiki is not getting, money. So it's a cycle. And when these are delayed, turns people to beggars, and people start taking unnecessary loans to be able to cater for expenses. So it's a bad cycle, and we're asking the national government to disperse the money. There is a lion that has been missing. Missing lion in the Mara paves way for heightened protection. So it looks like there is a missing lion, a lion on the loose. So as you walk, if you live anywhere close to the Mara, if you notice a dog that is bigger than a dog, that does not bark, you're not looking at a dog. You may be looking at something else. Page 4 has the story of the agony of the parents who are looking for their kids. People, it's such a sad state. It is really a sad state. And then the back page of the Standard, you have why it will be a tough mission for Harambee Stars against Namibia. Nigeria and Cameroon win after chaotic build-ups. Then we go to the Star newspaper, where you have Ogamba's agony as crisis rocks the education sector. I mean, it's a worst time for one to be a CS in this sector, because there's a lot of things happening. I mean, you're hitting the road running in a crisis. So quite a number of things happening. And then, in the second page of the Star, you have the school fire tragedy. Cops focus on electrical fault. They're suspecting that could have been the situation. But at the same time, I looked at the videos coming from the school and from the area generally. And what I noticed is that it's an extremely cold place. Extremely cold place. So there's a possibility there was, something that had been set up to keep the children warm, and maybe something, got out of hand. As they look at the electrical fault, they should also look at that. And then page 3, we have 600 more elite officers set for Haiti mission in October. And then the main story of the crisis within the education sector. And then Firat believes Harambee Stars coach confident of thumping Namibia in tomorrow's AFCON qualifier. And on the other side, you have Sabalenka living her best life after solving past US Open struggles. That's tennis. Then The Nation. Ruto, China, and dark SGR secrets. By the way, Uhuru left office before revealing to us what was in the SGR deal, and now we are basically getting into another deal with the Chinese. He had promised that was going to make it public. Never was. President hopes to get $5.3 billion, a share of the $15 billion that China is pledging to Africa. I hope as we take these loans, we take them responsibly. And then on the second page, you have Koech, a man who worked with snake oil merchants. Under his leadership, Kemri had become a hub for fraudulent operation where untested and unsafe drugs were manufactured. This is Dr. Davy Koech. It's unfortunate. At times I put myself in the shoes of people. I would love that, when I bid this world goodbye, that stories that will be written about me are stories that don't end up traumatizing my children. So it's a responsibility on me for my legacy. At the same time, we need to be sensitive. I know probably he did what they're saying. Remember, his kids will be reading this. Then we'll have Mudavadi takes Raila AUC vote, chase to Namibia. These guys are really serious. And then detectives are, as we said earlier, asking the questions as they try to crack the mystery behind the Ndarasha fire. And then you have Ruto proposes DCI action on the 600 million KTDA heist. You know the strangest thing about this KTDA, I listened to the deputy president, as he says, Nimse Makweli, as he was addressing it and trying to raise questions about some of the things that were happening there. And the most strangest thing is that the KTDA directors had spent over 40-something million shillings on trips, and that is from January to June. They had spent all that money traveling. You wonder traveling to do what? And all that money obviously is going to, it's the farmers who are going to pay for it. And then they were using external lawyers despite the fact that they have internal lawyers for their cases. So, and they're paying a whole lot of money. The deputy president was saying that the amounts of money that those lawyers are demanding from KTDA are more than what the lawyers who represented them during the presidential petition asked for. So that gives you an example, of the amounts of money that are being asked. And so, yes, we need to see the DCI in there so that things can change. And then on the back page, it's onwards and upwards from here. Nairobi City Marathon winners dream big. I have a very bad experiences with marathon. When I was in school, I was a cheeky guy, and so we were called to do a marathon. And we did the marathon as our house. And we went round Ngara, it was supposed to be a 10-kilometer race. Being the cheeky guy I was, me and a couple of my friends decided that we were going to hide in the big grass within the Jamhuri High School, field, which is humongous. And we waited for everybody to go round and round and round and round. And when we heard the bell or the whistle being blown as an indicator that this was the last race, we waited for the guys to pass. And unfortunately, we thought we were giving ourselves, we were coming in as some of the people who are going to come at the tail end so that we finish the race but don't represent the house for the marathon. Well, we ended up being some of the top guys in this race, despite the fact that we had not done any running. And we were selected to run and represent the house. On that day, I didn't go to school. So marathons for me are a complete no-no. Now, in a couple of minutes or so, we're going to have our analysts in the studio. We're going to look at some of the things that are happening in these schools, plus politically, and answer the big question. Do we need to have boarding schools? Let's go for that short break. Boarding school. Should we have these boarding schools in the first place? Because right now, as we are talking, we've had 3 fires. As we're waking up today, there's a school in Meru The dormitories are on fire. You know, they set it up. We don't know who set it up. Let's just say there was a fire. There was a fire again on Saturday in Isiolo, and you can remember in Darasha there was also a fire. And it's very disturbing, and mostly so for parents when you start getting such reports, because you don't know exactly what's going to happen. Now, let me just read a comment before we get into our conversation. You remember the video that I showed you about one of our preachers, a bishop? I'm not going to mention his name. You'll watch the video and you know who he is. Where he's... okay, they dipped nails into what they're calling anointing oil, and they were going to dish out 7 nails that you go and, you know, do whatever nails are done for on the wall, on the planks, or anything in your home, so that you can either keep off demonic or witchcraft, and you can also attract wealth. This is what Rehema Neema Wema says. He said, hapo kwa misumari, it's a big no. We are taking this drama too far as a church. Actually, I don't expect that from the bishop. We are losing track. May God have mercy upon us. If you've not watched that video, please go on our Facebook. You will watch it. You can basically reverse and see, or rewind and see what has been happening, and you can continue also giving your thoughts on the same. To have this conversation with me in the studio, I have David Mwangi. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
David is a political analyst,
yes.
And we have Mureithi with us in the studio. Mureithi is not a stranger here. Basically, I think now we need to get you an office in that spot.
I think you need to. You
we need to get you an office
there. It's my pleasure once again.
Yes. Yeah. Now, probably I can start with these shenanigans of nails, because I know you're both Christians, you're both mature Christians. Let me hear your thoughts, David.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation. My name is David. I'm a political analyst. I'm a former 2022 senatorial aspirant in Nairobi. So let's first go to the nails. I don't want to mention also the pastor. If he's your pastor, I'm sorry, I don't want to mention him. But we need to agree on one thing, that the religiosity and poverty line is a very, very thin line. And that is one of the books that I will write in later in my life, because I don't understand at what point we have so many churches in the slums, but we don't have, the same churches cannot give us factories. If I was to ask you, the person who is giving people the nails to build, he cannot even build a factory or a school that can support the members. You'll find that even so many churches, the schools that they have, the members cannot even afford. So you wonder, at what point does the church, is it supposed to help the people? And then the preaching, or what let's say, the spiritual part whereby we are praising poverty too much, I think it has to come to an end. We need to agree that if it's about prosperity, you have to do it with our minds, with our bare hands. You cannot just believe, you don't work, there's no plan, people are going to get nails, people will start praying day and night, but they don't work.
Yes.
And now we'll have an economy whereby people are always praying, but they're sleeping hungry.
Yes.
That's why we're having issues like Shakahola. A case that is supposed to last for maybe 2 years, it's over. We are still doing the cases up right now. So we can see that there's a very thin line. And I don't know what it entails for the human being to understand, but I think we need God's wisdom. And that's why you'll see, me, I'm young, we are the Gen Zs.
Yes.
Most of us left church. We always say we left church, but we didn't leave God. So because of such issues, whereby you'll give us, as we are youths, you give us 10 nails, you give us 20 nails, we don't know where to take the nails. We need practicality. We need jobs. We need other issues that are taking us far. If it is good healthcare, we need good hospitals. We don't need a lot of prayers, but no action. You'll find that most of the churches that we're having right now, it's unfortunate that, but they cannot give people a hope. They'll always try to give people a hope, but there is no way out. And I would like to say this. If I was in government, I would go the Kagame way, whereby all churches are supposed to be scrutinized. All churches, the other day he was saying churches should pay tax. Me, I would be okay with that. And then also he was saying that all bishops and apostles at least should go to school, get a degree, and at least be able to understand how things run. Mm-hmm. Because we cannot have more churches than hospitals, more churches than schools, more churches than factories. It doesn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. So our to misumari, if you want to go for your misumari, run for it, but please go with wisdom.
There was a funny friend of mine who was telling me, he was saying, now these guys are going to go and demolish their doors. They are going to damage their doors with the 3-inch nails.
Let me say, maybe when the pastor has started his own factory of misumari, he wants to sell the misumari to the members of the public.
Yes.
And it's business. So we have to look at it to that angle. Those are angles that Christians should look. You should look at things before you get yourself into them.
You know, there's somebody who's also said, Romans chapter 12 verse 2 does not say be renewed by the removal of your mind. It says be transformed by the renewal of your mind, not removal.
The renewal.
Yes. Your thoughts.
You know,
and I saw you. I saw you moving uncomfortable with some of the things you were saying, and David was saying.
I'm actually burning up. It's like coal fire inside me. Yeah? But when I think about the prophecies, I know that these are the end times. And the shocking things will always be when it comes from the unlikely people. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing right now. Because even the ones who are claiming to judge the Pentecostals today, the so-called mainstream churches, we are still finding them building the temples out there for all faiths, yet they profess Christ.
Yes.
But they're building a temple.
Building for all faiths where the Muslim, Hindu, Jews, whatever will go into one place.
Including one who would walk in with a chicken or goat by himself as a god. That is a faith. Anything, you'll get some space in that one. And that's how the Jerusalem temple shall be once they reconstruct it. Shall be very accommodative. Much as it is like that. But the cleansing time shall come. And that's the time when Christ comes back. However, where we are right now, these are the end times. And looking at that thing that was done in Abu Dhabi, looking at the construction of that temple, which is a typification of the temple that is to be done at Jerusalem, which is still the element of contest with the Israeli war and with Hamas. These are things that are just pointing towards that direction, and the discomfort of the Jews in the book of Revelations is literally and specifically to the Jews. So don't overrule that. These are the end times. Now, coming back to the evil that is there, that is actually going to cause even the hearts of the believers to wax cold, is what the Gen Zs are talking about, that we are not away with God. But hey, fellowship was started by Christ. When he rose up from the dead, it is that day that he gathered his very own. So fellowship is very important. On that first day of the week that he resurrected. So that is why we gather. So running away, they are positioning themselves to a very vulnerable position where the devil will really take advantage of them. He had started by getting around the minds of the young people by instilling questions. And those questions are now being confirmed when they see, without checking the times, they will go into conclusion that the church has failed, so let me remain with myself and my God. There is need to understand the scriptures. Before I get deeper into that one, I wish first to express my sincere condolences to the families that are bereaved, especially with the sudden incident that took place, the Inferno at Russia and other schools, Isiolo and Meru. A worrying trend that it's happening along the Nyeri, Tigoni, going to Isiolo, Meru, I don't know whether it's a serial arsonist who could be doing this or something. I don't know, or a spirit that is running around that side. We need to pray. But right now, my heart goes for the parents that are worried about their children, who they don't know where they are, and we don't know even their status.
Maybe.
Because,
yes.
Yeah, we'll get to that one, but I know there's a lot that is running through the parents' minds. However, let me conclude with this one. Paul said, beware of Alexander.
The coppersmith.
Not that Alexander just came in with a different type of gospel, and that was apostasy. Getting away from the apostolic doctrine that was actually instituted by Christ through his apostles. That this is how it's going to be. So when we see preachers running away from the original doctrine of repentance and holiness and all these kind of things and righteousness that Christ emphasized on, it tells you one thing, that this is apostasy and they're peddling heresy. And I would not fear to say, Bishop Mwiro, correct your ways, and many others. I saw him one day, he was selling soil from his foundation of his Oraka church. I mean, where he ashames the church, he ashames me. I must speak. He was selling soil just to get rid of it instead of paying a lorry guy to transport this soil to the needed place.
Yes.
I saw him sell salt. Yes. Now he's selling nails.
He probably should open a hardware.
The other time he had God on his side for presidency, and he declared it was him to be, and God dealt with him a big blow. What you're trying to say,
there's something you've said. You said
it's apostasy.
Paul mentioned and said, beware of Alexander. So we need to hear ministers also of the gospel saying, beware of this, beware of this.
The book of Jeremiah somewhere says, like the priest, like the flock. To save the flock, shun the priest. Leave the flock safe. Because they're the ones who are being deceived. So that is how it should work. These are the end times.
Jealously guard the flock of Christ.
Takes drastic measures. At this time we must be so stiff and stand to be counted.
Beautiful. At least we've disposed of that
flock.
Yes. Save the flock.
Save the flock.
All right. Now, we have two things that we're going to discuss. The boarding school and we have the battle for Mount Kenya. Both of you come from Mount Kenya. I don't know which one we start with. We have Rigathi Gachagua, the Eshomwas of this world. The battle is now on and they're tearing into one another. They are tearing into one another, and it looks as though the gloves are off. The gloves are now off. 2027 is going to be a very interesting time. But because we've started with the fire, let's look at the boarding school. Let's look at the boarding school.
Yes.
Do we really need, David?
Yes.
I don't know. Did you go to boarding school?
I did.
At what age did you go to boarding school?
I think I went to boarding school at an early age, so I know the experiences. I think
at an early age, meaning?
An early age, class 1, class 2. So I have the experiences.
You went to boarding school at class 1?
Yes, I went to boarding school early. And then also I left boarding school. I think my primary school, I went to around 6 schools. So I can tell, I'm able to tell the public, the private, the boarding schools which are private.
Okay, question. You went to 6 different schools.
Yes.
Was it that you were such a difficult kid that you had to be moved from one school to the other, or what?
When you started, you said you were a difficult kid. So we were together in the same contraband or in the same category.
Yes.
But most of the schools that I went to and I kept changing is because of the economic status of my parents, and also they kept on shifting from places, so I was subjected to also changing the schools.
Yes.
But before I even say something, I would like to pass my condolences to the parents,
yes,
to the friends who lost the kids there, to guardians who lost the kids in the Russia. I would like to say my condolences personally. And now, as we go now to that deeper, my question is, why would a parent take a kid to a school, a kid with 6-7 years old? A kid with 6-7 years old is, I think, PP1 or class 1.
You must have gone when you were very young.
Yes.
You said very young.
Yes.
Around 7 years
around
old.
7, 8 years old.
Yes.
But I want to say it has no economic value, it has no educational value, it has no social value, because what happens is most of the time these children who are young, most of the time they spend it either in playing or sleeping.
Or playing or sleeping.
Yes. If they're not sleeping, they're playing or learning. But learning is very minimal because they cannot sustain those long hours of being awake, those long hours of concentration. It's very hard for kids between that age, 6 to around 10 years, to concentrate for too long. And then, for example, I was in a school called Busara Forestry Academy. Our school used to do very many subjects. We used to do like, I think, nearly 20 subjects. But now... 20? Yes. Let's say around 15 to 20 subjects, because now we also do foreign languages. But you can see that at class 6 is when you start understanding. That is when now you start comprehending and coming up to task. Because when you're young, you don't understand. And now what you miss out your parents' love, you miss out your parents' care, you miss out your parents' training, and those are the critical things that you miss. And when I've grown up, I've come to realize most of the parents who take kids to boarding schools when they're young, it's unfortunate, but I can say they're a bit careless. One, they're either running away from something, or they are protecting themselves and hiding away behind something, behind a shadow. And we need the government to come and take part in this. Every day we keep saying we need more time with our kids. We need more time with our children. We need to train them and make them better in the society. We need to be an example of them. But always, what you should always know, even according to the Bible, the parent is the second God. That means a child first learns from the parent. Who they see first is how they grow. So if we need more time with the kids and the parents, first of all, let us agree that we need boarding schools to start at class 6. It is class 6. Yes, it is a bad decision. The primary school owners will start issues who have boarding schools because it's a good money-making scheme. But we need to agree on one thing, that boarding should start at class 6. Let me ask you a question. I was reading about the Ndarasha story. I saw that the school does not have electricity. They use generator and solar. So KPLC is out of it. If fire starts at 10, a kid is 7 years old, how are they supposed to navigate to know the exits? How are they supposed to navigate and know the emergency door, the emergency windows? How are they supposed to jump from the upper bed down and move when the smoke is all over? And then this world right now, we are having so much. We are having child trafficking. We have too much stories. We cannot even understand. I was asking him when we were seated on the other end. We are having about 60 to 70 kids missing up right now. I think it's around nearly 72 hours now later. We still don't have a report. No, the government cannot account for that. And the Russia village is a small village. If you start, if you enter door to door, if the government decides to enter door to door, it won't even take 4 hours. So my question is, where are the missing kids? Those are the stories that is what we should be asking ourselves. Because we have some who have arrested, we have some who are in hospital. But now my question, out of, I think it was 136 or 162, I can't remember the exact figure. Then we have around 7, that is nearly half of the students are missing. 21 have gone. That is now 21 plus 70, that's around 90. I don't understand how we are accounting for only maybe less than 30 students are the ones who are safe. It means that fire, even if it broke out, number one, there were no security measures. And number two, there were no emergency exits. Number three, there were no guardians of teachers who are watching over them. So those are the issues that the ministry should look up.
Because there should have been a place where they are taught, should anything happen, this is where you assemble.
Yes. First of all, that's why you assemble. It is training that should happen every day. In fact, we should have, in Nairobi, they do, what do they call them? The Zimamoto.
The fire drills.
They do the fire drills. We should have schools doing fire drills. It should start there. It is a lifestyle. It should start there. And then as they grow up, they understand and they learn. But now, if we're having people,
they're missing
those things right now. And if you saw that the satellite picture or the top picture of the school, it is a congested school, very small school. I don't even think it is 5 acres. And yet we had a rule, I don't know, in some area that whereby schools should, if a school is a boarding school, it should have more than, I think, 10 acres of 5 acres of land. Why? This space will create more space for buildings. This space will create more space even for assembling when fires or emergency things come. But if you're having a system whereby the government officials want to eat money as they open the schools, these are the losses that we get. These are the problems that we go through.
And you know, the location of the school is also, you know, creates a lot of concern when you have that number of children missing.
Yes.
Because it's just at the above their ranges.
Yes.
It's extremely cold.
Very cold.
So who's feeding these kids? You want to tell me none of the villagers has seen these kids?
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
There is no hospital in that sub-county.
There is no hospital in that sub-county?
So tell me, is there Zimamoto? Those are the issues that we're supposed to look at. There's no hospital in that sub-county. So we are wondering, where are the kids? That is a question. And then also, there's this perception and this ignorance that I've had people saying that parents went to the kids' home, so they haven't returned them. I was asking, the school has data. The school has 2 parents' numbers. It has also, probably, as when you are filling the forms, the form has, it is written, your area home, probably even your chief. And you cannot lack a number. These parents are 2 parents or 1 parent. If there's not a parent, there's a guardian. So there's a call that the school can make and know where are the students. These are 160 students. It wouldn't take more than 3 hours to know which student went home, which one didn't go home. So we're still having a speculation whereby people are saying now the parents' home should call the school and say now they have the children. It doesn't work like that.
And how did they even get the children?
It doesn't even work like that.
You don't go to school and just...
I think lack of coordination.
Because I know there was a time my daughter was in a school just around, and you know, I learned through the WhatsApp platform that my daughter's school was on fire. So I came and you know, at the gate, the police were already there. There was security stopping you from getting into the building. And even after we got access into the school compound, you were stopped from accessing the dormitories so that they can be able to account. You don't interfere. You don't know who's coming in. So 70 is too large a number not to know where they are.
I think there's quite some lapse somewhere with the whole thing, because we're gathering information that when parents speak in those voice pops, you get to hear that some of them are saying that they received phone calls from the kids in school at 10.
At 10?
At 10 o'clock.
That there was a fire?
Yes, but that there's a fire that is that's kind of flaring up. So while this was happening, it was building up now to the real inferno, which is now reported that it started at 11, or it started at 11 or something like that. Maybe that's when I can say the real fire was actually burning. However, questions are arising. Where did the kids get the phone? How come there was a phone with the kids? Others are saying they were called by their kids around 11. So these are things that because phones are banned in schools, and when we're having this kind of details, we need to wait for the detectives also to come up with whatever investigation, because I know they're going to come up with lots of details. Secondly, it was wrong in the first place to have small kids in boarding schools. I remember during the times of the former education CS, Matiang'i, he said if it's not after 12 or 13 years, there's no need of taking a child there. And the question was, what's this you're trying to avoid when you're sending your child away at the age of 7, 6, 8? That child is still a baby. 10, 11, still misses the mother's or the father's affection. They still come from school and sit on their parents' laps at 10, 11. So that affection, when you deny that child and you feed that child with rules, they will begin to trouble you, and some way, somehow, the discomfort comes around, and the numerous transfers, because the child begins to get tired with that kind of environment. He needs somewhere where he can relate with age mates in a free environment, which can only be found at home or in the home area. Now, parents should rethink, and I think it should be a law that boarding schools for primary school kids, even right now we are having the junior secondary, does not make them mature because we've given them a new name. They remain children in secondary school. It should remain a day school, should remain day schools all the way to now grade 9. And that should be made a law. So parents, I hear them celebrate, oh, watoto wanakuja kufunga shule sasa wamekuja ni stress. Those are the parents who send their children to school or to boarding schools early. I should celebrate. I've seen my child coming back home in the evening so that we can discuss the day, so that I can learn what he has learned or she has learned. We're denying our children lots of things. We don't even know the cause of fire yet. Maybe the kids are tired and they've decided to wait, you know. But let me not be speculative, but I'm only trying to say abolition of boarding schools should be done on primary schools totally.
There should be no primary school
boarding school.
Yes.
That should be solution number one.
Yes.
Secondly, I'm worried by the disaster management department of Kenya. I don't know their parameters, because I believe disaster is disaster, whether it's occurring in a primary school or in a business premise.
Yes.
They are so conscious about the business premise, which has already taken care of itself with extinguishers and everything, but they're not taking the lessons, and also frequent alerts, fire alerts happen in such premises. But in schools, yes, you may experience such alerts, but where is the training to handle themselves in a school where there's a dormitory that has beds that have got no space? Kids are jumping from over the bed.
From one bed to the other.
From one bed to the other, so that you can get closer to the door, or you jump from over the bed to the aisle that is that separates the two sides. No, this kind of thing, I think schools should be put on check, and especially the principals, plus the board of directors and the board of management. They should answer questions, not for Russia. I'm talking about schools now in response to this kind of things, in mitigating this kind of problems that should arise thereafter. We should see things beyond Russia. We should see things beyond Isiolo. We should see things beyond this and take them to the next level. Disaster management should actually see outside the box, take their training to the schools.
You know, the thing that troubles or that troubles my mind is that we are ever learning but never learning. As in, if you look at these fires from Changuli,
yes,
all the way to now, this is a conversation. What we are talking about is a conversation that has been held.
Yes.
And we needed to have gotten behind, as in this should not even be an issue. But now, it's a conversation.
It must have become insensitive, I think.
Another challenge.
We become insensitive.
Yes.
Another challenge, when it starts, it continues. Now we started in Russia. Now we're having fires every day. Yesterday we were having, I don't know, a school in, I don't know where it's.
There's a school in Isiolo.
Isiolo.
Yes.
The school. So it is becoming a norm.
And today, and there was a school also, Meru.
Yes, Meru.
Yes.
So it's becoming a norm. And that is the challenge of this country. Now it is going to happen. If not taken care of, it's going to happen like that. And if I may ask, why can't we have something we call disaster management as a subject in school? Those are the issues that we keep asking. Why should people do foreign languages but they cannot do disaster management? Those are some of the things that should be added. Those are things that should be added in the curriculum, whereby if we are losing each and every year, if we lose 50 or 100 kids like this, it means that there's a problem, and there's a big problem.
It must be addressed first.
And it should be addressed from the root cause. It should be addressed from whereby, as he's saying, abolish boarding schools in primary level. I don't get the point, as I was talking to you, why should a kid in primary school have prep from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.? It doesn't make sense to me, because the child is tired. The child is getting exhausted. There's not too much content to be taken care of in all that time. It can be taken care of in 8 hours and it's closed.
The same way when we were also in public, because I also attended public school, whereby we started, lessons begins at 8, they end at 3:10. It was still enough. It was enough. Yes. And so that we can have also kids, let the kids have enough time with their parents.
To be, and time to be children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let them have that
Parenting,
Do we even,
parenting is a problem.
thing is this, do we even need boarding school, even for the higher schools?
Actually,
do we need boarding schools really?
For high schools,
Yes.
For high school, I think it's very important. It's actually paramount because you're trying to teach your child to be independent, to start thinking independently. And the only way to do that is to stay away from a child, keep your child a distance, give your child a distance, so that child can be able to, become innovative in ways to deal with certain things that would actually be a requisite in the life that to come after school. You've seen a girl coming from, a family, and at time of marriage, she loses the marriage because she couldn't even cook tea. So when you're not even able to think on how you can survive by yourself, when you come back during holidays, you want to take care of some chores because now you've realized that washing your clothes is not big deal. So you can help mama do that when you come during holidays. So it's something that will be inculcated, but automatically it's actually inculcated into the kids.
Isn't that something parents can teach? Because when we were growing up, like me, we had sisters and brothers, and chores. We did chores. We would cook, we would wash our own clothes, we would do the house. I mean, the ladies would mostly mop the house. As in, it's the parents who taught us.
Yes, let's agree times have changed, and it's becoming inevitable that there are some families that cannot do without a helper currently because of various circumstances. Those days we used to have our moms around with us every other time. But today we have the mom working, dad working. So somehow to cover it, maybe you'll see the need of a house manager. Now, these are some of the trends that we need to accommodate in our thoughts, because we cannot really overly say that they should adapt our system.
What I've seen it done when you have a house help, the kids wash their own clothes.
Yes.
As in, the house help can take care of other chores, but the kids, they wash their own clothes, they do their own, so that this kid does not grow up thinking that.
You see, when we confine our minds, like the minds of the professors who came up with the help thing,
Yes.
the band thing,
Yes.
who think that all families are the same, and I mean, according to the analysis, what do you call it? A general analysis that when you see somebody having lived in a place like Buruburu, that's a well-to-do person, he deserves this amount.
Yes.
And that person could be just watching a house of a relative who is in the US or something, or abroad. Now, take an example of such a person, because he won't say, or she won't say that I live in Buruburu. But that's enough for the help guys to say that watakupatia pesa hii, so leave the help alone. I'm talking about families which have children. And when you address children, when you talk about house managers, a house manager in a single room in Dandora is managing a life, and a life that has got a child. A house manager who is also in a place like Karen, and there's only one child, is about that one child. You understand? So we could be saying that that there is a lot for her to do while around there, and so the child can do something else. Here is a single room. You cannot she cannot even reach all corners because of the congestion. I mean, if you ever lived in a single room, it's washed. Actually, you can reach to the farthest of the corners
from one point.
Periodically, it's not something that you do oftentimes. So what I'm trying to say is that I mean, taking care of these children should be looked at as general. That if such a person is taking care of this child here in the small house, is the same as the one who's taking care of the child in that other house. But the parent is the one who is supposed to know what is it that my child needs to learn now. Now, if the parent herself does not engage herself in washing, daubing work, cooking, she will not have reason why she should force her child to do these other things, you know, because it's all done by the help. So what I'm trying to say is that if the mother is doing it, it becomes very easy for her to invite her daughter to the kitchen. It becomes easy when a father is maybe cleaning up his motor car or motorbike or something. He's able to invite the son to show him how it's done, so the son can continue doing it for him. You know, all these kind of things, even polishing shoes and many other things. But you see, when we are not part of that responsibility, and we say si tulikuwa tunafanyia baba yetu, mbona unionyeshi na wewe ulikuwa unaonyeshwa? This is the thing that we need to introduce in the family. Yes. So what I'm trying to
that we are passing on skills.
We deny them a lot. We deny the kids a lot.
There's a challenge that now, as you guys have said, times have changed. Parents right now, most parents right now are either single mothers or single fathers, or they don't have enough time with the kids. Either life is too much. I don't know whether during your times life was like that. The money is not enough. So what will happen is the parent leaves home at 5 a.m., comes back at 11 p.m. So for me, it may not have a difference even if we say all kids in high school should stay in day school schools. But now the other issue that could also assist in whatever we're talking about, if they stayed home, we would not have lost them. That's what I can say. We would not have lost them like in fires in such areas, because I don't think people will not decide to burn their home, but they can decide to burn a school whereby we have too many casualties. Yes. So those are the things that we should be looking at. As we look at disaster management, let us look at it from the point of disaster management. Let us not even look at it from the side of the roles that kids should play, what they should learn. Times are changing. I don't think nowadays issues like cooking and washing are even fundamental anymore. Things have really changed in our times.
You have dishwashers,
washing machines. But you don't even know who does what and who doesn't. The issue is, I'm not trying to fight the point, but the issue is on the disaster management part, we need these kids at home. In first world countries, luckily maybe I've traveled a bit, we see that kids, there's no boarding school in high school or primary.
There's no boarding school.
There's no boarding school. You go home. What should happen is the government should make all schools equal. The problem starts in this country where there is inequality, whereby you believe these schools give better education to your kid, this school does not give better education and concern to your kid. So that's where it all begins. If the government would agree and we have an equalized system of education, whereby even if I live in Dandora, I take my girl or my boy to Dandora High School, the same education it gets there is the same education that a kid in Karen High School gets. That is where we should begin at. And then also now we should also look at the chances that they get in higher education. Because now, whereby if some schools don't perform, and some schools are in the remote areas, they cannot have enough access of resources. If they put the same with the schools in whereby they have more resources, that's where parents from the small area, remote areas will bring children to areas that have higher resources. If we have an equalized system, first of all, people will not have an issue taking kids to boarding schools. That is where we should start now. It's a big task. I don't know where the ministry can begin, but we need to agree that if we equalize the system, we will not lose people.
As we head probably shortly to the political aspect, I know I hosted a lady, a Kenyan who's lived abroad for a very long time, and I think could have been either the UK or Australia, and also the States. There's what they call the 15-minute rule, whereby from where you live, the rule is 15-minute drive. You should access everything that you need within there.
Yes.
Within that 15-minute drive, your school. If you go to a hospital, if you move like what we do in Kenya, that you live in Eastlands, but your kid is going to Makini, sijui where, you would not be allowed to use those resources. So the resources are divided within how do we make this neighborhood so that within that 15-minute radius drive, you're able to get all the essentials. So if you live within that hood, you go to schools within that hood. You go to hospitals within that hood. You access all those services within that hood. If you cross the 15-minute route, if you go to another area, you're questioned because according to them, they have not budgeted for you.
You see, and that's why I hate comparing myself to anybody else. We're Kenyans. The 15 rule is good. Could be good in London, but not in Yorkshire, you know, or Leicester, because their status are not the same. So to qualify a point, I see people from out there, they qualify a point with what is happening in New York or Washington DC, but they don't talk about New Orleans. They don't talk about Wyoming. Yeah, they don't talk about such areas which are a bit remote compared to such advanced states. So there, you can come up with a policy that would be hurting others or harming others, yet it sounds good. You know, it becomes impossible. It's like telling an SDA, do not walk 100 meters from your house where you find a synagogue. So, why is it possible today?
No, it's not possible. Yeah, but you see, once you put that as policy, the onus becomes on government.
They adapt.
Yes, the onus becomes on government to ensure that those resources that it's saying you should not go past this level without these resources. Yes. Those resources are put in those areas.
Comparing the development status of a country where such an opinion would come from, I think we're around almost 30 years behind. So when I start cracking my head with this kind of notions, I start living in utopia. And I need to be realistic. It's just the same way we were making our constitution and we wanted to compare ourselves with the United States of America does this, UK does this. Yet we're forgetting we are having 45 tribes to deal with, not 2 colors, you know, or races for that matter. That's the only headache Americans have even in the elections today, is the 2 races. Where is the support? The Democrats are gone, black and Hispanics have gone that side, you know. This is the kind of thing that I'm saying. It wouldn't make sense when I come to address and advise my local issues. So when we talk about taking our kids to high school, culturally, you know too well that at the age of 13, we want our kids to do things by themselves. We want our kids to begin to adapt that mentality of thinking beyond, thinking for themselves. And then the parents' work becomes now stabling and correcting and guiding. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how our cultures shaped us. Now we're dropping the culture and we are going to the scientific way of understanding a child. And that's where we are losing it, because when psychologists and psychiatrists and sociologists advise us, they will advise us scientifically, you know, not spiritually, not realistically, because now we need to have culture brought in. What exactly were they thinking when they brought this? It's not the same thing. There was a time they used to call alternative medicine herbalists, and they used to look at the old Mzee and the Masai who comes with you know, that medication and call it unhygienic, but they used to get hit with it. Now today they have embraced it. They're calling it alternative medicine. It's now in the universities. What I'm trying to say is that when we try to live hypocritically away from the reality is when we refuse to be advised. And that becomes a problem, especially with the learned, the elite of the society. They always think anybody else below this grade, if you're not in masters, you're not in the bachelors, you're not in the doctorate,
you know nothing.
You know nothing. You get the point? Yet you want to advise me on how to live my life. And that's where we sit down and tell those people who are professors, you've only studied mathematics, so you're like a torch that can see the other side of the valley but can't see where you're standing. We see like floodlights. We just have too much. Please ask us about where you're standing. We can advise you, you know. And this is how it is.
Yes.
So when you look at the HELB issue and the whatever we are now experiencing with the schools, taking kids, small babies, small kids, to boarding schools, and you don't train them on how to live by themselves, it becomes a problem. So let's have this thing abolished, boarding schools. Let high school have boarding schools and begin to emphasize, and these can come from an authoritative directive by the president, can the disaster management broaden its scope? Otherwise, it will continue being underfunded because it is short of ideas.
Okay, we need to switch because I can see our time is almost done. Where Central Kenya is almost becoming a case for the disaster management also. The politics of Central Kenya. I listened to the Deputy President yesterday. I listened to Akina Ishongwa basically speaking and tearing into one another. All this has 2027 in focus. How do you see this playing out?
Okay.
You're a politician. Which side have you taken?
Me personally, I will deal with it in a very different way.
Yes.
In a bad way. If there's a bad way of dealing with this, I'll do it in a bad way. And I would like to say this. I know politics is local. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. But my issue and my problem now comes in whereby people want to localize development, people want to localize problems that people have. Yet, what, according to me, the problems that Taita youth has today is a problem that Kalenjin youth have today, is a problem that the Mount Kenya Kikuyu youth have today. The politics of tribe and regions and races and tribes, I think for me it's long gone. That's according to me. And it's it's hard to do it. And our parents have not been able to do it apparently. And you can see right now people have now started again regrouping into cocoons. I don't know, Ruto now went to Nyanza, now it's an issue with the central people now again they are fighting. Ishungwa and Gashago will go to a podium, they'll throw jabs to each other. But I would like to say this and tell them, if people are genuine with this country, if you're genuine with the issues that us as Gen Zs were raising, if we are genuine with the future of your children, let us agree on one thing, that the tribal politics will finish us. That is where we've been. That is where we've been surviving on. Let me say I'm from Mount Kenya, and even our problem, our worst problem, we are the worst when it comes to this type of tribes. Number one, we vote because of sympathy. We vote people, we don't vote people in, we vote people out. We are now, right now, there's a group with Rigathi now, they're saying this guy, our guy is being mistreated, our guy, this is our best guy, we have to stand with him. Not even asking what developments that we need, not even asking what has the guys done, not even asking the red card, and asking also the score sheet that we need as a region. If the politics in the regions would change and we base them on developments, we base them, as I told you, on unemployment percentages.
Yes.
We base them on health issues. We base them on factory and such issues like schools. We would be in a great part. That would be a good competition, a competition between Mount Kenya and Rift Valley when it comes to such issues. But now we have a problem whereby we're basing our competitions on which leader is being spoken of, which leader is speaking to this other leader. But I wish we would have these two people, Shoma and Rigathi, sit down and tell us their scorecards about their areas.
This is what I've done. This is what I've done.
This is why I need to lead the Mount Kenyans, the Kikuyus. Why? Because I've done this and this. I've added these kilometers of roads in my area. I have managed my CDF to this level. I have been asking, like Ishongwa should be telling us, what bill have you taken to parliament? You know, those are the issues. As a legislature, what have you done for the people of Mount Kenya? Also, Rigathi should be telling us, as a deputy president, what have I brought? What developments have I brought? But this issue of fighting and telling us, I'm being fought, we took this government together.
Yes.
We are supposed to be in it. We need doing what? The government is for every Kenyan. We need scorecards that are about that.
Yes.
And I have a problem with our parents once again. And I was telling some people that in 2027, we shall even maybe hide their ID cards and hide their voters cards. When they wake up, they don't even find ID cards because they are the problems that you're having. And also we are the problems because we don't vote. So we're having two problems here, whereby we're having people like us, the Gen Zs who didn't vote, and we're having our parents who voted wrongly. So the best way is, for those who voted wrongly, we hide their IDs, and this other group that is a bit informed, we can vote the proper way. And thank you so much for TVs like EBN, whereby you've allowed us to make civic education to the people. The people of this country may act informed, but they're not informed. In fact, now I'm even more happy that this is a Christian TV, whereby now we are giving even the Christians information about how things run in government. Because the point of mtu wetu comes whereby you think that person is more informed, has more access to information that you don't have. That's whereby the person looks so different. The person looks like he's a god, he's a small god, he's a demigod. And that's why you will see when you have appointments that you like the appointments that were made, the CS appointments, people will have homecoming parties.
Yes.
Homecoming parties for what? You've been given a job by government.
Go and do the job.
Yes, you don't go back to your tribe to call your people, tell them now you've been given. This is us like Nyanza.
It is ours.
Now it is ours. We should celebrate. You've been chosen to lead us, lead the whole country. It's your time to start from where you are, move out, and now it's a scope of the national scope. But don't worry. The time for tribal politics, it will go. Just relax.
I think I have a question for him.
Yes.
I've seen how much he's attacking the society which I belong to. But let me ask you. Yes. You married?
Yes, I'm married.
You paid dowry?
Yes.
So did you pay it the way you'd like us to do it on X space, or you went back to your family, then you extended family and whatever, the clan?
The good part is
what setup did you deal with? Is it not from the family?
I dealt.
Let me answer. Just put on that. Okay. What I'm trying to say is, much as you want to dismiss the very natural position, and I'm trying to say this as a Kikuyu born, as a Kenyan who is born in a Kikuyu land, much as a Luhya is born in a Luhya land who is a Kenyan, and a Taita is born in Taita who is a Kenyan. But Kenyan is supposed to be a mentality, because it's something I'm supposed to adapt. Because I'm finding somebody from another community who speaks a different language, who practices different culture, who has a different faith, who has different traditions, and this person we must cohabit cohesively. I'm the one who's supposed to take that bold step, see what to drop to accommodate that person, and that person sees what to drop to accommodate me. And that's how we live in what we call cosmopolitan cities. Why don't we take that mindset that we're able now to cohabit together in the cities or areas where we live to, we actually have mixed tribes, you know, and we live together and work until the day of politics when we discover, oh, we are different. I mean, this nonsense is what should end. But we should train ourselves in such a way that we are able to advise ourselves beyond what the West demonized through the civil society, that it's wrong to belong to a Kikuyu community, a Luhya community, a Luo community. I mean, making friends is a personal decision. Just choose to love this person, respect this person as he is, without any bias or limitations, without any condescending attitude. What we are supposed to do is to choose to love one another, and that's it. What's wrong with you being a Kikuyu?
There's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong. What's wrong with him being Luhya? Nothing wrong. What's wrong with the other person being Luo? Nothing wrong. It's just deciding to live together in harmony. It's a personal change of attitude. If we can change that attitude towards that side, then I think we would have a better society.
Now you can answer the question.
I'm qualifying it by saying that there is no way I can pretend to be holier than God and wiser than God, who I as a Christian believe in the Bible, and I see God blessing the 12 tribes as 12 tribes. Then I pretend to be so holier and walk like a headless chicken. like our Gen Zs who say they don't have a leader. Yes! You don't have a leader, you become chaotic, because no one is above the other. No one is giving guidelines. So how do you talk about leadership? How do you talk about leadership when there is no leader? Yes. Because a leader means he must be singled out, sanctified, set apart for a specific purpose to lead us in life.
Now, let me start with the leader first.
Yes.
That is where me, or us as a Gen Z, we separate from the other generation. Because you see when you say a leader has to be sanctified, it's the same way the people in church told us, this leader is our leader. God has decided we should elect him. God has decided this is the man. Right now being killed because of that mentality. Let us agree on two things. We're in this world to live. We're in this world to make sure that things work. And God has given us a platform of equality. And the moment all of us want to hide behind our tribal cocoons, it doesn't work. As he's saying, we might decide to be in harmony. As Kikuyus, have a harmony with the other communities, but our cultures are so different. It doesn't work, and we have seen that in the years that, as me, have not lived for many years. I've been maybe for 29, 30 years. But if we see the years of our fathers, this tribal thing has never worked. Let us not keep hiding upon it. Let us not even look. When you look at the culture whereby we are looking at about the social part whereby we have marriages, me paying dowry, that is okay. But when you look at two things, the economic value that it brings, when you look at the political aspect, tribalism does not work.
You see,
and this is one of the problems that we're having as a country. And we don't agree.
If you allow me, paying your dowry, you did not use the legal principles to pay.
It is just social.
You used a cultural principle.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is you went back home. What I'm trying to say is that you cannot really negate that fact. The truth is there is positive ethnicity
yes,
and negative ethnicity.
Yes.
Negative ethnicity is one that has that mindset of superiority and inferiority complex. You get the point?
Yes.
If we can be able to personally choose to avoid, shun some of these kind of things, these kind of mentalities, then we would be able to uphold the right.
Yes, yes, that's okay. If you separate like that, now that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. That is what we do, and that's what we are supposed to do.
Yes.
So when I get back to speak like a guy from Mount Kenya,
yes.
I will now tell you.
Very brief. I need to bring the curtains down on this show.
In conclusion,
yes.
When the Luhya community the other day was having the president, they said sisi watu wa Western tumekubali hivi na hivi na hivi. Waluhya bandu wenyewe wakasema ndio. Then when Rigiji is telling his people unite so that you can be able to push for development from this area as one team. The same thing. Baba did appointments. He took to Luo Nyanza, where he comes from. You know why? So that this guy in finance can assist those guys as per the mindset that has been created, which is wrong. You get the point? You're supposed to serve all Kenyans. However, while in that office, it is an office for everyone. While in the office of the deputy president, it is an office for everyone. But remember, the difference between the office of the deputy president of Kenya, of the Republic of Kenya, and the office of a CS is that a CS is there for everyone. A deputy president is always on call for the president to assign him what to do. So, come back to the deputy president. He was told to look into the coffee issues in office and in public by the president himself. Tea issues, you know, the sugarcane was taken away from him when Musala came in. And milk, dairy, you know, these are assignments that he was given. And now, if you want us to take stock, although I know that you don't have time, we can get in deeper into that one. But the politics of 2027 is good to position yourself, but it's too early. There's always time to do that. So that's the undoing by the young man, Kimani.
Your closing comments, very briefly.
The closing comments is on two things. It is too early to start politics for 2027. Let people focus on development. It is too early. We have 1,000 days. If we keep on doing politics each and every day, we will never have development in this country. And I would wish for the youth of this country to read much. As we said the other day, we shall even translate the constitution into all tribes, as you're saying, into all languages, so that people can understand how things run, how the government runs, and at least we'll have more informed generations which will come after us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mureithi. Thank you, David. Interesting conversation. Interesting conversations. So I'm very sure you've picked what fits you from the religious, from the educational, boarding, and from political. Let's learn to have these conversations openly. As we speak openly, like Paul said, beware of Alexander. So beware. There are things that are happening that should not be happening. So don't be blind. Don't be blind politically. Don't be blind spiritually. Don't be blind. Read, learn, and be aware of your surrounding. Because as you become aware of your surrounding and you understand it, you're able to control it. If you don't know, you will be controlled. With that, we bring down the curtains on the show. Don't forget, we also have stories from the counties coming in from Gatuzi, and then later on we'll have our sports shows telling you exactly what is happening around the world. Do have yourself a lovely morning. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Most delighted. You're welcome.
Okay.